The end for Spain in North America comes from a series of political dominoes that all fall in sequence. In 1808, the Spanish monarchy of Ferdinand VII is toppled by a French intervention into Spain proper. Essentially, the French shake off any pretense of an unequal alliance, and they just move into Spain and occupy it. This then sets off the Peninsula War, with the British intervening in the Iberian Peninsula and opening up what Napoleon referred to as his Spanish ulcer. Well, this Spanish ulcer and the presence of the British brings about some political undercurrents within the Spanish population, and by 1812 they declare themselves a republic and shake off all pretense at monarchy. While that is going on in Spain, there's issues going on over in Mexico. There's a priest by the name of Father Hidalgo. And Hidalgo and some of his co-conspirators have formed a literary club. This literary club is actually reading political theory. They're reading things like John Locke. They're reading some of the same political theorists that American revolutionaries had read. Well, with the derangement going on over in Spain, essentially colonial officials have been left up to their own hook to sort out what was going on in the far fringes of the empire. In Mexico, this meant that they became uber royalist. They became super royalist, and they looked to stamp out any sort of flames of revolutionary or republican fervor. When the royalists learn that Hidalgo and these other guys are getting together and reading literature, they go in to arrest them. Hidalgo flees and decides that the only way out of this mess is to begin a revolution. And on the 16 de septiembre, the 16th of September, he issues his famous Grito de Dolores, which in part says, "Long live religion, long live Our Lady of Guadalupe, and long live the Americas, and death to the corrupt government." So, what does he stand for? He stands for the Church, the Virgin of Guadalupe, and overthrowing the government. Unlike American revolutionaries, however, he doesn't lay out the causes. He does not lay out what he will replace it with. All he does is open up the lid on all these tensions, these aspiring criollos, these agitated and aggravated underclasses. He essentially says, you know what, we're not going to pay any attention to the royalist government anymore because we really don't know where anybody stands, and the mobs rise up. Very quickly, he raises an army of more than 80,000 men, women, and children, and they essentially go on a rampage. And the people that they especially vent their violence against are Peninsulares and Europeans. Anybody in positions of authority, however, begin to fear for their lives. And there is a massive and chaotic race war that breaks out in Mexico. This army, really little more than a mob, becomes enraged and violent and vindictive. And pretty soon this race war burns uncontrollably across northern Mexico. Ignacio Allende, a Criollo officer, takes command of this rabble and tries to organize it into some sort of regular formation, but he has very little luck. Now, this army, because of its size and its fervor, has some very early successes. They drive the royalist garrisons all the way down into the central part of Mexico. But there, even though they succeed in defeating a much smaller royalist army near Mexico City, Hidalgo decides that it's probably best to turn around and reorganize. Second thing he feared was, if in fact this insurgent army captured the capital, they would probably burn it to the ground. So, even though he beats the royalist army, he decides to withdraw.